When South Carolina authorities found a man dead by the road not far from his mangled car, they suspected it was a hit and run. But an oil trail led them to conclude 46-year-old Davis McClendon, a family man, had been targeted for murder. 48 Hours correspondent Anne-Marie Green has a preview.
May 7th, 2023, Greenwood County authorities discovered Davis McClendon fatally injured near his dented BMW and suspected the vehicle that hit him leaked oil found on the road. The oil trail led sheriff's deputies right to the home where local businessman Bud Ackerman was living. Authorities noticed his Ford pickup was leaking oil in the driveway. They had learned Bud Ackerman's soon-to-be ex-wife Meredith was dating Davis McClendon, and according to Meredith, Bud couldn't accept that she was moving on. She told authorities she'd been on a date with Davis earlier that night. Phone records and security video show Ackerman compulsively trying to contact her until Davis, seen here, had enough and went to meet him. Authorities say an angry Ackerman mowed down Davis, who had been standing next to his BMW, as in this CBS News animation based on the authorities' theory. Bud Ackerman was arrested for the murder of Davis McClendon. Investigator Ronnie Powell.
That's just the beginning.
Because it turns out, Bud Ackerman says it was an accident. He was meeting Davis just to talk, but that Davis was standing near the middle of a road, approximately as shown in this CBS News animation based on the defense's theory, and was nearly impossible to see before it was too late. He set out to prove it.
And joining us from New York now to talk more about this case is 48 Hours correspondent Anne-Marie Green. Hi there. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So was there any other evidence from that night you can tell us about?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a ton of evidence. We're talking about surveillance video from the night that Meredith Haney and Davis McClendon, the victim, went out on a date. They were out on a date the night that he was killed. Also, doorbell camera video, which I thought was remarkable because it's actually not that close to the street. But what it seems we are looking at is Bud Ackerman's truck driving past this house down the street, and even more interesting because of the distance, it picks up audio of what sounds like the crash and then what happens after the crash.
So let's talk about that dashboard touchscreen computer in Bud Ackerman's truck. It's a part of the reason that Ackerman was arrested and charged in the first place.
Big time. Our vehicles are keeping track of us. This is the sort of the brains of the truck, but the prosecution calls it Bud Ackerman's brain. I was really surprised at just how much information these vehicles collect, these infotainment systems they collect, but also store. They keep the information. Speed, whether the vehicle turned left or right, any public Wi-Fi's the vehicle just happened to drive past. All that information is stored in the vehicle, and in this case, whether or not there was a hard braking incident, and that spoke to the moment the collision happened.
Truly a smart car, more than we realize, I guess. Well, proving murder in South Carolina is a bit different than in some other states, right?
Yes, this is something that I learned. It was news to me. Viewers may be familiar with, first-degree murder, second-degree murder. They don't have that in South Carolina. It's just murder. But what the prosecution has to prove is not necessarily intent, but in a way it is. But the prosecution has to prove malice. So malice can be a type of intent, but malice is, the idea that you were attempting or wanted to be harmful in some way. And sometimes that harm ends up in a life lost. It ends up in someone being killed. And so that's what the prosecution had to prove. And they were using all of this sort of digital information to show the jury what they believed was in Bud Ackerman's mind and what was in his heart at the time of the accident.
So much to unpack in this case. Thanks so much, Anne-Marie, for giving us a little sneak peek at 48 Hours. And you can watch that 48 Hours right here on CBS 19 tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.